In this video, we're going to do some examples of observations and inferences. So for the first example, we're going to try out this picture over here. You're going to list two observations and two inferences from the picture. They might vary from the ones that I list, but try it on your own and then we'll take it up. So you pause the video. At this point, you're unpausing so we can analyze to see if you are on the right track. So for some observations, I might say something along the lines of, there are 3 rocks. 3 rocks. That's a quantitative observation. There is one boat or toy boat. There are 3 trees. I might say the person has a serious facial expression. Those are all observations that you can make about this situation here. An inference you might make based on the fact that there's a fence or a gate, a goat, and trees. You might say this takes place on a farm. That could be an inference. You're inferring that it's a farm because of the goat and the trees and the gate. You could infer that the individual was kicked in by the goat. That's possible. It might be wrong, but it's possible. You could infer also, you could say there's a broken branch. That's an observation. And you could infer that the individual was on the branch broke and then fell in. So that's an inference based on the observation that there's a broken branch. Or you might say that the individual was going after the toy boat in the water. Now, what you could also infer, if you look at the face, it doesn't look like a happy face. So you can infer the person is sad. If you said the person is sad or angry, that's an inference, because the true observation is they have a serious facial expression, but you don't know how they're feeling. You have to infer how they're feeling based on their facial expression. So I didn't write all that down, but that was a discussion of observations and inferences based on this picture. Now, if you were in class, you were shown a beaker with a liquid on the inside. And so some observations that were made was that it was a clear liquid. It was colorless. Some students passed it around and smelled it, and they realized there was no odor to it. It was odorless. No one tasted it, of course, because you don't taste substances in the lab. And then some students said it was water as their observation. But other students were quick to point out, well, we don't know if it's water. All you know is that it's clear, colorless, and odorless. So you can infer that it's water based on these observations here. So saying it's water is an inference. You don't know it's water. And in fact, it wasn't water. It was actually hydrogen peroxide. Water is H2O. As we learned in chemistry, there's 2 H's, 1 O. But hydrogen peroxide is H2O2, 2 H's, 2 O's, which makes a very different compound. One difference in the oxygen number, 1 versus 2, makes a big difference in terms of its properties for human consumption. So those are some of the main examples we saw in class. In the slide deck, there is a little car scenario you can try out for extra practice. So you can try that out in the slide deck. Let's go and try this practice problem here. And then after that, we'll do, in the next video, we're going to try out the last problem, which is about the candle. So in this video here, we're going to try this problem out. It's based on the comic strip that's over here. So Linus is looking at the puddle of water. So that's right, Linus is looking at this puddle. That's more of an observation. Linus is thinking as he studies the puddle. Well, you can't really see that. You can't really see that Linus is thinking, so you're just inferring that. Linus stomps in the puddle. So you do see that Linus stomped. That's an observation. Linus is angry when he stomps on the puddle. We don't know that. We're just observing that Linus is stomping, so that's just more of an inference rather than observation. Linus produced more than 5 little puddles by stomping on the big puddle. So here we can see little puddles. We can actually observe there are more than 5. So that's an observation. None of the puddles produced are as large as the original puddle. That's also an observation. We can see that none of them are as large. If all of the puddles got combined, it would be the size of the original puddle. That one's tough. It would be hard to say. Right now it's still an inference, more of a guess. You'd have to actually do it to see that. Linus is smiling as he leaves the puddle. Yes, there is a smile on Linus's face, so that's an observation. Linus is happy as he leaves the puddle. Again, we see a smile, but it's still an inference. It could be a sinister smile. It could be an angry smile. We don't know. Linus has a friend named Charlie Brown. Well, we're inferring that this is the same Linus from the comic strips that that you might read or you might have heard of. So at that point, that's an inference, unless we see Charlie Brown there and Linus actually tells us he has a friend named Charlie Brown. We don't know that. So that's also an inference. So in this video, we did some practice problems with observations and inferences from the lesson. In the next video, we're going to do one last set of sample problems from your learning goals. But try this out yourself first, and then check the next video to see your answers, to check your answers.